It was the kind of political stunt that makes headlines and sparks fury in the halls of Westminster. Reform UK leader Richard Tice just dropped a bombshell on the immigration debate by turning the issue into something his opponents could no longer dodge with platitudes or press statements. No more speeches. No more abstract ideals. Just buses, real people, and a whole lot of uncomfortable reality parked right outside Labour and Lib Dem-controlled borough offices. Tice didn't just talk the talk. He made them walk straight through the consequences of the policies they've championed for years. Migrants arriving in Britain were sent directly to towns and districts run by open borders cheerleaders. His message was as blunt as it gets. If you're so in favor of mass immigration, then host yourself. And that's when the chaos erupted. Sources close to Labour say Keir Starmer's office descended into full crisis mode. One insider described his reaction as a meltdown. And you can see why. Overnight, the immigration debate stopped being theoretical. It was suddenly happening live, in full view, in neighborhoods run by the same people who had been preaching the virtues of open-door policies from safe, comfortable districts. Now their phone lines were blowing up. Now they had to answer for the mess. For years, Labour and Lib Dem leaders have hammered home their opposition to strict borders, detention centers, and deportation flights. They've portrayed themselves as the moral compass of British politics. But when the buses showed up, so did the contradictions. Their own councils, the ones shouting the loudest about inclusivity and compassion, were suddenly filing emergency requests to Whitehall. Complaints about lack of resources, disrupted communities, social instability, coming from the very same mouths that demanded more migration just weeks ago, and the public noticed. Tice stood outside one of the temporary housing sites and spelled it out. For too long, working-class communities have carried the cost of uncontrolled migration while Labour politicians watched from the sidelines. Well, not anymore. Now they're the ones doing the watching and the scrambling. Within hours, social media lit up. Hashtags like #HostWhatYouSupport and #Labour border hypocrisy trended nationwide. For many, it wasn't about cruelty, it was about fairness. Why should struggling communities that never signed up for these policies be forced to deal with the fallout while the architects of those policies sit comfortably removed from the mess? Labour's response: weak at best. Starmer offered a brief, emotionally charged comment to the BBC, calling Tice's actions reckless and provocative. But that only made it worse. The silence, the dodging, the lack of any clear answer, just more fuel for the fire. More evidence that Labour isn't equipped to face the consequences of the very system they've pushed for. Tice wasn't done. In a follow-up video, he said what millions were already thinking: this isn't hate. It's honesty. If you demand these policies, then take responsibility for them. Build the infrastructure. House the people. Don't shove the burden onto overworked, underfunded towns that never got a say. Of course, critics were quick to lash out. Progressive voices called the move cruel, divisive, political theater. But for Reform UK supporters, the real theater is Labour pretending to care, without ever preparing for what that care actually costs in the real world. No housing. No school space. No public service planning. Just lofty speeches and media photo ops. This is no longer just an immigration story. It's about political accountability. Because the truth is, when leaders push policies they never planned to live under, democracy collapses. The trust breaks. The anger boils over. And in that gap between virtue signaling and lived reality, Tice threw in a grenade. Keir Starmer might be tearing his hair out behind closed doors, but outside those doors, millions are waking up. The immigration crisis isn't just a problem at the border. It's a reckoning for politicians who refuse to practice what they preach. And if the backlash is any indication, that reckoning has only just begun. Tice didn't just expose a weak policy. He exposed the political class's favorite trick: passing the cost of their ideals onto people who can't afford it. If you support open borders, then open your own doors. If you can't handle the pressure, then stop pretending you're ready for it. This moment isn't about scoring points. It's about forcing a conversation this country's elite has dodged for far too long. If you believe politicians should actually live with the impact of their decisions, now's the time to raise your voice. What Richard Tice did may have ruffled feathers, but it pulled back the curtain, and oh, more spin. No more hiding behind platitudes. This is about facing the truth. And the truth is, the public's patience with political double standards